Hey, this is David Kay, and you're listening to the Geekcast Radio Network.
There is nothing wrong with your podcast player. Do not attempt to adjust the volume. Hello and welcome back into our studio. This is Studio 2009. I'm, of course, TFG1Mike. Joining me is Steve Megatron. How the hell have you been?
I am here. I am waiting.
Waiting for what? This isn't Transformers. Get out of here with that voice. And today, we are going to be going back 30 years in time to 1993, when Robin Hood, Men in Tights, was real. Holy crap, how is this movie 30 years old? I am so old.
Yeah. Yo. Check it out. Prince John and the sheriff, they was running the show, raising the taxes because they needed the dough. A reign of terror took over the land. They were shaking down the people just to beat the band. I said, hey. Hey. I said, hey. Hey. I said, hey.
It's 30 years old.
Yeah, 93, 2023.
Granted, we're getting to that age now where films are aging exponentially faster because as we sit there and we have to sign up for accounts anywhere now, it's like playing Wheel of Fortune to get our birth year.
You know, we don't have to go far back just yet. I mean,
no, but it's funny because I have to go with the middle scroller and I go, and then it goes like to the mid 90s or whatever. And then I'm like, I got to scroll a little bit further.
Yeah, it takes me 2.5 to 3 scrolls to get to 1980.
Yeah. So it's just, I don't know. It's just weird because a lot of between that and the films being 30 years old or TV shows being 30, 40 years old now, and then actors dropping like flies from stuff that we grew up on. It's really interesting as a reviewer of media.
Yeah, absolutely. And on a different show over on Geekcast Radio, I think at some point, over on Geekcast Radio, we're going to do a BTAS, a Legacy of Voices Remembered, because you look at that voice cast, and there are at least 10 people who are no longer with us. Mm-hmm. Maybe more than that. But yeah, I mean, it's just time flies. And, you know, I love the joke on like Facebook or X or wherever. No, you're lying. The 90s was only 10 years ago. The 80s was only 20 years ago. I'm like, no, not lying. 80s was 40, 90s is 30. Just wait another 10 years. It'll be even older, just like we are, because we're all aging, at least I am, aging like spoiled milk. Everybody else may be aging gracefully, but yeah. But Robin Hood Men in Tights, the end of the year for Studio 2009, folks, I am blitzing episodes. Because I'm like, ooh, 1993, that was a good year for stuff. Let's talk about all the stuff. So outside of this episode and then the next episode, which will be Batman Mask of the Phantasm 4K, because I have the 4K release, there'll be another podcast approach for the end of the year. More Star Wars with me and Dave. Mike Laidman's going to stop by to talk about Metal Gear Solid's 25th anniversary. Dave joins me for a 30th anniversary of Jurassic Park. Somebody's got to join me for the 25th anniversary of Armageddon, and then Dave and I talk about Solo to end the year. Solo was awesome. I love that movie. More on that later. But yeah, 30th anniversary, Robin Hood, Men in Tights. When did you first see this? Because I know you were. If I was 13 in 93, you're 7 years old?
Something like that. I saw it as soon as it hit television.
Right.
But I think I saw it, actually, it might have been later. I think I saw it around 97. Okay. But I always found it funny, you know, just one, I recognized Patrick Stewart.
Of course.
King Arthur, you know, Captain Picard.
King Richard, yeah.
And then I recognized Maid Marian from Problem Child.
Mm-hmm. Amy Asbeck.
Yep. And then Cary Elwes, I remember from the Princess Bride.
Yep.
And Liar Liar, because I was a big Jim Carrey fan. I knew of him from Liar Liar.
Yeah.
So it had some definite nostalgia, hitting it, but it was also funny. I was kind of raised on a lot of Mel Brooks films, not all of them, but Robin Hood, Men in Tights, Spaceballs.
Yep.
The important ones.
I mean, Mel has done a lot of important films over the years.
And he's still around.
Yeah, he is.
He's 97.
Yep. Shh, don't tell anybody. Like, seriously. Like going back to what you said earlier, we got to stop losing all these great people. And that's the funny thing. Like, you say that, and it makes me think of, like, I look at stuff today, and I'm like, I have no idea who that actor is. I have no idea who that actress is. And it's like, wow, I have no clue what's going on in Hollywood today because
it's definitely a different animal, you could say.
Yeah.
Hollywood has changed and is still in a state of flux, as it were, just because everything going on with the strikes and.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's good that we have nostalgia to fall back on, because once they get back to work, we're going to have a lot of reruns.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
Just saying, just because they're going to finish with all of the productions that they already have recorded.
Yeah.
To have to figure it out from there. So.
Yep. I have seen Cary Elwes in more films than I remembered. Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah, totally.
All right, so first of all, getting this out of the way, folks, Robin Hood Men in Tights is a spoof of Robin Hood Prince of Thieves, starring Kevin Costner and Alan Rickman as the Sheriff of Nottingham. Freaking Hans Gruber as the Sheriff of Nottingham in that original film. You had, if I remember correctly, it was... Oh, what's his name? Not Arnett, the other guy. Will Scarlett. Who played Will Scarlett? Christian Slater. Well, how did I get Will Arnett and Christian Slater mixed up? Yeah, Christian Slater
they're totally
plays.
Different.
Yeah, totally different.
One is Lego Batman.
Yes, that's right. In this, Isaac Hayes plays a Sneeze, who is the father of a Chew, who is played by Dave Chappelle. But in the original movie, in the Robin Prince of Thieves, Morgan Freeman plays that character, which is awesome. But yeah, Cary Elwes, like, just looking at his, like, yeah, Princess Bride, whatever. I've never gotten into that movie. I've tried watching it. It just doesn't hold my interest. Like, one scene I absolutely love. It's the French taunter scene, and that's it. Sorry, folks. Come at me, bro. He was in Days of Thunder, Hot Shots, Bram Stoker's Dracula, Men in Tights, The Crush. The Crush is the one where I think first saw him outside of this movie, because that is him and Alicia Silverstone, and she has the crush on him, and it's a whole thriller. I forgot he was in The Chase in 1994 with Charlie Sheen. Completely forgot about that. Twister, Kiss the Girls, Liar Liar, like you mentioned, he was Jerry. I love Liar Liar.
Yeah, Liar Liar was great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jerry was her boyfriend that she was seeing at the time. He was a voice in Quest for Camelot. He's just been in a whole bunch of stuff, and more recently, I would say over the last 10 years or so, most of the stuff, I have no clue what half the films he's in. That, like, okay, Hansel and Gretel Get Baked, I get that. But, like, I've never seen, like, he was the voice of Aquaman in Justice League, The Flashpoint Paradox in 2013. That's cool. But yeah, most of his more recent work, I know nothing about. Oh my God, he's in Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, which I still need to see. Okay, well, I guess I'm going to be seeing him in a more current movie soon. Television, he was on The X-Files. He was here's something to tie into next week. He was the voice of Derek Powers' son, Paxton Powers, in Batman Beyond. Just all over the place with his television stuff. And that's good. I like an actor or an actress who has a body of work that is just like it has so many different things to offer you. And that's what his filmography has. Going back and watching this film, when I mentioned this to you that we were going to do this, you're like, yeah, I don't need to watch it. I remember it. I'm like, yeah, I know you remember it. But the point is, like, I remember it too, but I still laughed my ass off rewatching this movie.
Oh, I love the witty jokes and then the way that Carrie delivers them.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it's not just him either. It's all of them. All the actors and actresses in this. It's just so good.
Or the mole that jumps around on the guy's face.
Yeah. Didn't your mole used to be on the other side? I have a mole? Yeah.
And then Dave Chappelle.
Mm-hmm.
Before anybody really knew him.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Yeah. The dude, he was hilarious in it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. He's hilarious in general. I've been seeing, because I've been doing a lot of things that I wouldn't normally do as far as content consumption. I've been doing a lot of like YouTube doom scrolling through shorts, and like every seventh short will be one of Dave's more recent comedy things where he's talking about the Netflix debacle and this, that, and the other thing and everything else and all that. But, you know, I've always liked Dave, and he's just a really funny guy. And as this character, it just works. I mean, and this was, this was his film debut.
It was.
Yeah. According to Wikipedia, Robin Hood Men in Tights, at you, 1993. There's nothing before this as far as film goes.
That makes sense, because I didn't really see him come on the scene until after.
Yeah.
And he did manage to get comedy specials thereafter.
Yeah.
But he was hilarious.
No, absolutely. He is. I absolutely love the guy. Yeah, that's his film. Robin Hood Men in Tights is his film debut. Technically, his acting debut would be in Def Comedy Jam from 92 to 95, because he played himself in 2 episodes of that. But yeah.
He's 19 in that. That's crazy.
Uh-huh.
He's 50 now.
Yeah, I know. Like, yikes. But I mean, I forgot he was the voice of the cockroach in Joe's Apartment. Oh my God, we're gonna have to cover that at some point. He was Joe Pinball Parker in Con Air. He was in Half Baked. He was in You've Got Mail. He was in Blue Streak. You know, and like you said, many comedy specials that he's done over the years, especially like the 28 episodes, the whole Chappelle Show from 03 to 04. All that, he's just a really funny guy. What is your favorite scene in this movie?
There's so many, man.
Yeah, I know, right?
Well, I think it's funny how whenever Robin is trying to, I mean, by the end, it's funny just because he gets to the chastity belt and then the key doesn't.
Call a locksmith, call a locksmith, call a locksmith, locksmith. Yeah, that's hilarious.
But I love the duels with him and the sheriff.
Yep.
Prince John is just annoying. But I like the fact that he's just kind of nonchalant. And the mole jumps around in his face. I like that Mel Brooks plays a part in every one of his films.
Yep. I am Rabbi Tuckman.
Yep.
Oh, circumcision jokes. Jeez.
Well, I mean, he's Jewish, so
I know.
It's funny that he just brings that into everything he's in. Mm-hmm. The merry men are funny.
I said, hey!
There's so many iconic actors in this.
Yeah, there really is.
At least for the time. I mean, most of them are people that have been forgotten over time.
I don't know. I didn't forget about a lot of them. I may have forgotten the movie sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, good news, bad news. Cary Elwes, Richard Lewis, Roger Rees, Amy Asbeck, Dave Chappelle, Isaac Hayes, Tiffany Ullman, or not Tracy Ullman, I should say. Roger Rees passed away recently, and Isaac Hayes passed away a few years ago, which really sucks. But I mean, yeah, there's so many good actors in this. It's just it's just a fun movie. And again, coming from watching the original movie and what it was to going to this, it's like, I wonder who they're going to get to. Oh, that's okay. They're going to get Jean-Luc Picard to play King Richard. Okay. And it works because you look at King Richard and you look at Prince John, two very different, but they could be brothers because not all brothers are identical or whatever else kind of thing. I think my favorite scene out of this is Robin and Little John on the bridge fighting with the sticks, because it reminds me of Robin Hood Daffy. And Robin Hood Daffy Duck plays Robin Hood, and Porky plays Friar Tuck. And Daffy gets to a point where he has to, do this exact same scene with someone. And I was like, oh, okay, except this scene, they're making it even funnier because they're just constantly using smaller and smaller and smaller sticks until they can't do anything. And then they just basically just do a slap hand game. I'm like, oh, okay. It's hilarious. I enjoyed this so much. I haven't seen it in so it's not that it's not a movie I would not watch all the time. I would. I just haven't.
Yeah, I haven't seen this in quite some time, and I just love the little jokes that you probably couldn't get away with today.
Oh no.
There's a lot of them, and that's the thing with Mel Brooks. A lot of his old stuff, you can't get away with that now. Like, it is physically impossible to get away with that, just because of the culture shift and things that were just the way things are. But it's funny. Like, I don't know. Like, even if I'm having like a crappy time, I go back and watch 90s films, 90s 100%. Comedy specifically, because they're not taking themselves too seriously. Yes, there are some crude jokes in them, but when you kind of break it all down, it's still entertaining, and it takes you out of the moment because it's so absurd and it's not taking itself too seriously, but it's well written.
Yep.
Whereas stuff today, I feel like they're trying to dodge too many bullets of things. And, I get it. Like, we do have to be, somewhat sensitive on certain aspects of culture, but at the same time, like, if you can't poke fun at it and kind of take yourself out of reality for a while, what's the point in watching it?
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
And that's what I enjoy about like this film and a lot of the old 90s films.
So I didn't even realize this. This movie has now 2 connections to DCAU. So we got Carrie, who was the voice of Paxton Powers in Batman Beyond, the fire marshal character in the beginning, when the fire department is called. It's Clive Revill, who was the original voice for 3 episodes of Alfred in Batman the Animated Series before they got Ephraim to do the voice. Holy crap, that's awesome.
Yeah, I would never have made that connection.
I only made the connection because I see his name here on Wiki. I'm like, wait a minute, Clive Revill.
I mean, the name sounds familiar to me, but like I can't remember, like, no, if you would have said Ephraim, I would have been like, oh yeah, Alfred.
Well, yeah, Alfred, yeah, obviously, yeah.
But
yeah, no, this movie is just so fun, and there was only I try my, like you were saying about watching the old movies, and yeah, I don't really try to hold them up to today's standards because you just can't, and you shouldn't. They should be viewed at in the time that they're made.
It's a time capsule.
Yeah, exactly.
Enjoy it for what it is.
But I will say there was one joke that did make me cringe. It was when they talked about the trans joke. There was a transgender joke in there somewhere that stuck out like a sore thumb to me. But that was the only thing. Like, the rest of it, is just all in stride. All right.
Names
Names
of the characters.
Oh, yes, names of the characters. Yep.
And I like that they changed Nottingham to Rottingham.
Yep.
Because it's Rottingham.
Yep.
Just some of the names. And the sheriff, it's funny, he has no name. It's just Sheriff of Rottingham.
Yep.
And then Achu Blinken.
Mm-hmm.
Will Scarlett O'Hara.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that's like a play on.
He's from Georgia.
So I think the O'Hara, they just kind of threw that on there, but I don't know.
It's a Gone with the Wind reference.
Yeah, I figured that.
Yeah.
But it's just because Will Scarlett is a member of, so they just added, and then because we have Achu, we got to have Sneeze.
Sneeze. Yeah.
And then the witch is latrine, meaning toilet.
Yes.
Which, I'm sorry, that's hilarious.
It is.
You get Don Giovanni, which is Dom DeLuise.
Yep.
Filthy Luca. Ezio. Rabbi Tuckman, Broomhilde. Then they've got like Tax Assessor and Dungeon Maitre D.
Yep.
Like, I don't know. I think it's funny that they've just got some of these goofy names.
And then Dick Van Patten.
They don't take it too seriously. They're like, it's funny.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you got Dick Van Patten as the Abbot. And of course, because he's called the Abbot, you have to have a Costello joke where it's like, "Hey, Abbot!" I hate that guy. It's an old because that's what Lou Costello used to do every time he was talking to his buddy Bud Abbott. He would go, "Hey, Abbott!" I love Abbott and Costello.
That might be something fun to touch on. Is some of those old comedies like Abbott and Costello,
100%,
the Three Stooges, Laurel and Hardy.
Ladies and gentlemen, next year Studio is going to be off the chain with the nostalgia and the old comedy stuff because I think that's where we're going next year.
Going retro.
Well, we've been retro for 14 years.
They're going more retro.
Yeah, even more retro than before. You heard the 90s. The 90s, they went extreme. We're going retro.
I think it's funny that David DeLuise was in this.
Mm-hmm.
Gene Wilder is an uncredited.
Yep.
Because he worked with Mel Brooks before. Young Frankenstein and stuff. And then we have a Star Trek, another one. Chase Masterson.
Yes.
She played the Dabo girl, Bajoran Lita in Deep Space Nine.
Oh, okay. Well, I will have to look for her when we get to that.
Yeah, she marries a Ferengi named Ram, Quark's brother.
Oh my God. Oh.
Yeah.
My head's starting to hurt.
And she's from Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Yep.
2 hours from here.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyways, but yeah, I thought it was funny. We got a second Star Trek reference.
Yep. So very cool. Yeah, I did not even notice that. Like, I noticed all the villagers. I did not even pick David out of because he only plays a villager. Dom is easy. Dom DeLuise. Hello.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Whatever. But like David is his son, and David was Jerry Russo on Wizards of Waverly Place on Disney Channel.
And he's actually one of the co-hosts of their Wizards of Waverly pod.
Yep. It's him and Jennifer Stone. Yeah, I love listening to that. Yeah, this movie, it's so fun. It's so great. If you really just want to laugh your ass off, watch this movie. Yeah. It basically, like, I was like, oh, I have to watch this for the podcast, but it's like, I need to watch this for the podcast in like 90 minutes or an hour and a half or 2 hours or however the hell long the damn movie is. I'm like, oh my God, I haven't laughed this much in a couple of years. Like, that was great. That was a good time. That was awesome. So yeah. Do you have a favorite character moment or a favorite special effect?
I'm trying to think of like special effects in general in this, and
I mean, it was still very much practical effects.
Yeah, it was very much practical. Yeah. So like, I so miss practical effects.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like films have gotten too heavy on the CGI, and honestly, it's been going downhill since 2016.
Yeah.
Like the quality of it is like burr, 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 burr.
Well, it's funny. Okay, it's funny you say it that way because I was going to say mine would be the Knights of Domino when all the knights start falling in the hall.
Okay.
The knights domino to each other. I'm like that where Prince John is like, too loud. It's too loud in here. Like, I love that. That's one of the best jokes of the entire movie.
I love his annoyingness, and it's like, please just knock him out.
I will say he's not as annoying as some other Prince John character, like not actors. The portrayal of that character, he's not the most annoying one I've ever seen. And then Sheriff of Rottingham, Roger Rees, always getting things backwards. And I can't say it off the top of my head, but basically, don't you know it's illegal to kill a king's deer? And he says it backwards. He constantly says things backwards, and he has to stop and fix. I absolutely love that. And I wonder, and I'm just wondering aloud, and I'm just curious, I wonder if that means that the Sheriff of Rottingham was dyslexic, because that's usually what dyslexia is, when you get things backwards half the time. Like that. Interesting. Pacing of the film, I think the film is great. I don't think there's really any stopping moments. There's no, oh my god, I need to go to the bathroom moments or anything like that.
Well, and it wasn't really that long.
Right, no.
Which I'm thankful for. You know, it's I feel like a lot of movies just kind of go long because they can.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like it's under 2 hours, so that's a pretty healthy amount of time to get the message across.
100%. So would you recommend this film to people you know to have them watch it?
Yeah, it's definitely a classic, and it kind of gets you familiar with a lot of these people that are going to show up in various aspects, either before or after this film.
Right. Yeah.
And honestly, like Cary Elwes, I like a lot of the stuff he's in. Some of the other actors, I've not watched a whole lot of their stuff, but it's probably just because I don't recognize them. It's kind of like it's like Tropic Thunder. I didn't realize for like 10 years after seeing it that Tom Cruise was in it. Because I didn't watch the credits. I was just like, I was like, oh, that's Tom Cruise. That's hilarious. That was like the most like undercover thing in the whole movie that I didn't recognize him.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I gave him a bald cap. But
yeah.
So I mean, I would recommend it. I think it's a funny movie. I like the little various plays on things. You know, Robin occasionally breaking the third wall.
Yep.
The sheriff's just misfortune.
Yeah.
And then getting stuck with Latrine after he, dies.
Because she's going to fix him up with her evil magic, don't you know?
And he's like, no.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Overall, 0 to 5, what would you give it?
I'm going to give it a 4.5 just because it's not perfect, just because of some of the, kind of dated jokes, but I find it humorous and it's funny. So it's one of those movies that if I want something that's kind of off the wall and doesn't make a whole lot of rhyme or reason, but it's fun and it's funny, this is one of those films I'll watch.
Absolutely. I am right there with you. 4.5. Like I said, if I hadn't, if that transgender joke didn't just jump right out at me, it would probably be a 5, but it did. So, it is what it is. But yeah, other than that, 4.5 out of 5. It's so funny. It's so good. And the plot, there's no real plot to discuss. There's no real deep thinking. It's all a spoof. It's a spoof. It's a parody. That's why this episode is kind of short, folks, is because it's all comedy and you need to watch it to get the jokes. But we wanted to give you our opinion since it's the 30th anniversary, and we wanted to be able to celebrate the film, the people that were in it, the people that worked on it, and all that good stuff and all that. So we are going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back to close the show right after this.
Hello, geeks and geekettes! Looking for a podcast that covers a vast array of topics? Then check out Altered Geek Unleashed, where we discuss our thoughts on this week's geeky news, tech, gaming, television shows, movies, cartoons, comics, and more. So, get altered, get geeky with the Altered Geeks. Every Friday on the Geekcast Radio Network.
Like science fiction? Of course you do, or you wouldn't be listening to the Geekcast Radio Network. Well, the Mark Who 42's Universe podcast is an award-winning sci-fi radio show that's been around for over 10 years. We cover everything from Doctor Who to the MCU to pop culture and everything in between. A new show drops on Tuesday mornings on the GCRN website and all of the major podcast platforms. So listen to the Mark Who 42's Universe podcast from the universe and beyond.
Well, that's all, folks. Steve, any final thoughts on the movie, on anything you want to talk about, and where can people find you on social media?
I don't think I have anything else about this, but the good folks on social media can find me on, I'm going to say Twitter regardless, because I think X is a stupid name for a social media app, and it sounds just kind of wrong. So at SCP21, or they can find me on the Instagram threads or Blue Sky at Steve Phillips VO.
Very cool, very cool. Yeah, I will probably in the future watch this again at some point. Very funny. Absolutely love the movie. And for me, I am on X as TFG1Mike. I'm pretty much TFG1Mike everywhere. On Instagram and Threads, it's TFG1Mike Presents, since those are connected to each other. And that's it, folks. For now, I'm TFG1Mike with
Steve Megatron.
You'll hear us back in the studio soon.
I said, hey!
Thank you for joining us inside the studio. If you'd like to get in contact with us or leave feedback for the show, there are several ways to do so. Visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can listen to and comment on all of our content. Send an email to feedback@geekcastradio.com. Here are all the ways you can listen to us nowadays. Apple, Google Podcasts, leave us reviews, please. Spotify, and any other podcatching client you choose to use. Follow us on X at Geekcast Radio for the network, at It's Studio 2009 for the show. Become a fan on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/Geekcast Radio Network and Studio 2009 Podcast over there as well. Join us next time when we'll be talking about something in the audio or visual realm here inside Studio 2009, only on the Geekcast Radio Network.